is Emeritus Professor Kusuma Karunaratne, Emeritus Professor of Sinhala, University of Colombo. Of course, everybody knows Emeritus Professor Kusuma Karunaratne. She received a BA degree with first class honors from University of Ceylon in 1964, thus becoming the first lady to secure first class honors in Sinhala. In 1965, she was appointed as an assistant lecturer in Sinhala at the University of Ceylon, Peradeniya, and proceeded to the University of Essex, England, to obtain a master's degree in sociology of literature. In 1982, she received her PhD, and in 1985, she was appointed as an associate professor in the University of Colombo, Department of Sinhala. In 1991, she was appointed as a professor of Sinhala, and in 1997, she had the distinction of being appointed to the post of senior professor. She held the post of head of the Department of Sinhala for more than 10 years, and Dean of the Faculty of Graduate Studies for 3 years, and acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo several occasions. She was awarded the prestigious Fulbright Fellowship in 1991 and was a visiting Fulbright Fellow at Princeton University, US. She also won the coveted Japan Foundation Fellowship in 1997 and was a visiting fellow at Taisho University, Tokyo, Japan, as a visiting professor. She has authored over 50 research publications and has authored, co-authored, and edited several books. And she has also translated books and classical work from Sinhala to English and vice versa. Her latest work of creative writing, a collection of short stories based on the theme Tsunami, has been translated into English and Japanese, while the publication of Spanish, German, and Tamil translations are in progress. In recognition of outstanding contribution towards the strengthening of cultural relations between Japan and Sri Lanka, she was awarded the Order of the Rising Sun, gold race with neck ribbon by Emperor of Japan in Japan, and that is the highest honor accorded to a civilian by the Emperor. So we congratulate you, Emeritus Professor Kusuma Karunaratne, and I have the honor to invite you to make your presentation.
Thank you. Professor Shanika Hirimburegama, Chairperson, and the distinguished speakers, distinguished invitees, and the students. Let me straight away start my presentation on the topic, University Education, Then and Now. As we are all aware, a university is an institution engaged in higher education and research with powers to grant degrees at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Though there were early institutions of learning, mainly religious schools, both in the East and the West, such as Nalanda, 5th to 12th century AD, the first university in the Western world was the University of Bologna, established in 1088, followed by University of Paris, 1096, and University of Oxford, 1096, which developed rapidly from the year 1167, when the of Oxford, 1096, which developed rapidly in the year 1167. The second oldest university in England was the University of Cambridge, formed by scholars who left the University of Oxford over a dispute in 1209, when the Oxford University was closed temporarily for the town execution of 2 scholars. University of Cambridge is now ranked one of the top 5 universities in the world and the best ranking in Europe. It has produced 85 Nobel laureates. Today, the university is a worldwide phenomenon. Practically every country in the world has its own university or universities. Universities today have formed into associations of over 1,000 universities encompassing many countries. We are aware of the Association of Commonwealth Universities and the International Association of Universities mainly because our universities hold membership of such associations, and further we recognize and accredit a degree from a university if the university is a member of such association. As of now, many universities have similar objectives, mostly by convention. University education in Ceylon or Sri Lanka, as far back as mid-19th century, there had been agitation in the country for the establishment of a university to provide higher education for the deserving youth of our country. This agitation intensified by the beginning of the 20th century, especially with the formation of the Ceylon University Association by a group of Western educated elite in 1906. Owing to the continued demand, in the year 1911, a committee was appointed by the government to report on the secondary and higher education in the country, and this committee recommended the establishment of a university college. This recommendation, however, was rejected by the Secretary of State for the colonies. After a lapse of 4 years, in 1915, the Secretary of State sanctioned the establishment of the University College, and this was to be affiliated to the University of Oxford. The intervening war years delayed the establishment of the college, and it is only in 1921 that the Ceylon University College was established in Colombo, in the building that was originally the main building of Royal College, located on Thurston Road opposite College House, which is now the main administration building of the University of Colombo. The recommended affiliation to the University of Oxford never materialized, and instead the college was affiliated to the University of London. By 1924, plans had been made and funds voted to convert the Ceylon University College to a full-fledged university, but controversies as to its location and type, whether it was to be residential or otherwise, caused inordinate delays, and it was only after a lapse of 18 years, that is in 1942, that the University of Ceylon was established, incorporating the University College and the Ceylon Medical College with faculties of Oriental Studies, Arts, Science and Medicine. The faculties were headed by important personalities in our country, such as Professor Gunapala Malasekara, Sir Nicholas Artigala, Professor E.F.C. Ludwig, all headed by the Vice-Chancellor, Sir Ivor Jennings. Some of the students who entered the first year were also colourful personalities, such as Ronnie Dimel, Nisanka Vijayaratne, etc. The siting of the University of Colombo was an interim measure, as the decision had been to have the University of Ceylon as a residential university located at Peradeniya. Much deliberation had gone into the siting of the university, and Peradeniya was selected from the 3 proposed sites, namely Colombo, Dumbara Valley and Peradeniya. With the development of infrastructure at Peradeniya, faculties were moved to Peradeniya between 1949 and 1964. Fortunately, the science faculty in Colombo was not dismantled. Peradeniya, with its serene landscape, fine buildings of traditional designs, and aesthetic qualities, was a fine and pleasing campus for students and staff to pursue study, teaching and research. Students' hostels provided comfortable accommodation, wholesome meals and an environment conducive for studies. At least at that stage, the country could be proud of the university. With time, there were changes in the university system. Some faculties were moved to Peradeniya in 1949. The engineering faculty was established at the University of Ceylon, Colombo. With the retirement of Sir Ivor Jennings as Vice-Chancellor, Sir Nicholas Artigala headed the university as Vice-Chancellor in 1954. The Western-type elitist structure of the university saw a change in the late 50s with the establishment of the 2 universities, the Vidyodaya and Vidyalankara University, which were earlier monastic-type institutions of higher learning. The medium of instructions in these 2 universities was mainly Sinhala. The emphasis more on religious studies, arts, culture, etc. was significant. Student base too was different, being rural and traditional as compared with the more westernized students of the University of Ceylon. Student numbers increased gradually, but something unusual occurred in 1963, when an unusually large number of students were taken in and accommodated in Colombo. It was rumored that the son of a VVIP had to be accommodated, and all students who scored marks above him got the opportunity to enter the university in that year. The grandstand of the former racecourse across Reed Avenue was commissioned to accommodate nearly 600 students, mainly in arts, which earned the name of Ashwavidyalaya to rhyme with Vishwavidyalaya. Many feared that such ill-planned increase of admission could lead to degeneration in standards. A further restructuring of the university system took place in 1964. The creation of the National Council of Higher Education, and in 1967, the University of Ceylon Peradeniya and University of Ceylon Colombo were made separate universities, making 4 universities with Vidyodaya and Vidyalankara universities. This structure again had to undergo change due to the island-wide insurgency, and in 1972 again a single university was created with 5 campuses, namely Peradeniya, Colombo, Vidyodaya, Vidyalankara and Katubadda. This situation too changed just after 6 years, and in 1978 a new Universities Act created separate universities from 1st January 1979, and with time more universities were created and student numbers increased for good reason or otherwise. University students. As was said earlier, during the time of establishment of the university, most students came from elitist families from cities and suburbs. Higher education then was not the forte of the ordinary citizens. The university was elitist, unknown and inaccessible to ordinary people. This situation changed with time as the student population grew and students from middle-class families with English education entered medical, engineering and science faculties. Their strength was their knowledge in science and not so much of their family background. Also, larger number of students of similar background entered the faculties of arts. With the change of government in 1956 and the establishment of Vidyodaya and Vidyalankara universities in late 50s, more and more students with education in Sinhala medium started entering the universities. The output of the central school system too found their way to the university. The change of medium from English to Sinhala, the lack of emphasis on English education in schools, and the entry of larger numbers of students mainly to the faculties of arts affected the quality of graduates passing out. With time, many a graduate in arts competent only in Sinhala or Tamil failed to find reasonable employment as their skills were found wanting. Even with graduate unemployment looming, there was great pressure on the universities to increase the intake. This became a political issue as well when the government introduced the district quota system in the mid-70s for students' entry to universities. The district quota system ensured that best of students from each district were given places in the university as a ratio of the population of the district. This was evolved as the government could not ensure equal educational resources to every district. It was also on the basis that best of students from each district will come to similar level of fruition when given equal opportunity. With this system, students from districts like Badulla, Monragala, Vaunia, Mullatiu, etc. could enter the university with lower scores than students from Colombo and Jaffna. This is because the latter districts had excellent educational resources as compared with that of the former. The Tamil politicians at that time took this up as a political issue that the district quota system is a method to deny university places to students from Jaffna. The fallacy of this is seen when one considers the situation today. Presently, students from Jaffna can enter the universities for the popular courses such as medicine, engineering and physical sciences with less scores than students from Colombo. With the improvement of the secondary education facilities, even more students wanted to enter universities. Sometimes universities were required to take in more students than they can afford to have, considering the facilities. Presently, some universities are overflowing with students, stretching their facilities to near breaking point. Student problems affect the smooth running of universities, some problems being genuine and some artificially created by interested groups. Some of the reasons for student problems can be listed as follows. Artificially created by politically affiliated groups to serve their own end, insufficient hostel and other facilities, ragging, ongoing rivalry between student groups, economic and other reasons. Ragging had been a recurring problem in the universities. This originated as a form of inducting new students to university, but with time it turned out to be so ugly and disruptive that some of the universities had to be closed. Those students from rural regions were given some concession to enter the university, as described earlier, by the district quota system. They suffered numerous disabilities in the university. Most of these students have gained entry to the arts faculties, as the highest percentage of the students entering the universities in that field. They lack sufficient knowledge in English to benefit from university education. They lack sufficient parental funds to secure wholesome accommodation in the cities and locations where their universities are sited. Sometimes their rural values are scoffed at by other students, causing ridicule. Several steps have been taken to reduce these hardships. It was Mr. Lalit Athulat Mudali who laid the foundation to address the problem of economic hardship of rural students who enter the university. The Mahapala Scholarship Scheme originated by him was the greatest help to such students even without burdening the government coffers. Over the last 4 decades, more than 50% of the university students were provided with Mahapala scholarships, and the rural poor students were the ones who benefited most from this scheme. Government too has provided hostel facilities at extremely low rent, almost free, in the vicinity of the universities, which have been a boon to the rural students. You might wonder why I harp so much about the rural students in the university. It is because that they are the most disadvantaged in comparison. They enter the arts faculty mostly, and on graduation, they are the ones who find it hardest to secure employment. It is the parents of such students who make the most sacrifice to get their offspring a university education, and at the end, they are the ones who get most disillusioned. Graduate employment is a serious matter for them. However, now there is a concerted effort by the government to provide employment to unemployed graduates, whether it is for a useful purpose or not. Whether it is, whatever it is a great relief for these graduates. Over the years, the quality of university education has dwindled, except in the practical areas such as engineering, medicine, and architecture. There was a time that the country's economy was neither strong nor diversified to absorb graduates for employment. This picture is now changed, and there are more opportunities for employment. Thousands of jobs are advertised, mainly in the private sector, but the graduates do not possess the skills required, and some graduates are hell-bent on looking for jobs as teachers or even as clerks in the government. The cause of the degeneration of the quality of graduates cannot be attributed solely to the graduates. There are several reasons for this malady. The exodus of academic staff due to political or other reasons, and mediocrity and lack of commitment to teaching and research are other factors which have contributed to the degeneration of quality. The mass education within the university, especially in arts, commerce, and social sciences, the semester system and accumulation of credits in order to graduate, the concept that there should be a reasonable percentage of passes are other factors that have contributed to the degeneration. The UGC and the universities in Sri Lanka have recognized the dwindling standards of graduates and have taken certain measures to ensure good quality of our graduates. The project to study and make necessary action to improve the quality of graduates has given rise to a council for quality assurance, and it is expected that the quality will improve with time. Government has taken several measures in the recent past to alleviate the problems of the university staff by improving several conditions. There is an increasing trend in the world to provide tertiary level education online via internet. Today, the internet has become a vital resource in higher education. With the limitation of physical resources in universities, online higher education will become increasingly important to satisfy the educational needs of increasing number of students globally. There are some visionaries who predict that the entire university education structure will ultimately be replaced by a digital global learning infrastructure, DGLI, where all learning resources, teaching, learning process, examination, evaluation, and certification will all be done via internet. This, I hope, is only a dream, especially to us who have spent nearly 4 decades of our life in the so-called red brick universities here and abroad. We as a nation have treasured knowledge more than anything else, and as such, no one needs to instill in us the value of education and knowledge. The mottos of some of our universities bear testimony to this effect. Vidyaiva sarvadhanam, meaning wisdom is all wealth, and buddhi sarvatra brajate, meaning wisdom shines forth everywhere. I wish to conclude my address with the well-known poem, which you all know, Tibu tanaka sora saturan gata nohena, esada mana wat waturen wala nohena, kopa wat raja matindun gata nohena, ugata mana shilpe mai maturakena. Our very, very creative students use the last line in a different way. They say, Maturakena shilpe mai ugatamana. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.